According to the project, they're going to clear cut almost all the trees of the island and build a giant liquefaction plant, a huge bridge as big as the Golden Gate Bridge of San Francisco, going out along the edge of Flora Bank, and then a supertanker terminal. And so it would be very loud, and they'd have bright lights on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it would be really disruptive to our fish. And behind Lelu Island is Flora Bank, which is sediment left over from a glacier during the last ice age, and it's held in place by the flow of the Skeena River coming down the estuary and the currents from the tides. And so it's quite a delicate balance, and if there were a giant bridge and super tankers coming to the end of it, the bank would probably erode to the west direction. And this is the bank that has a lot of eelgrass on it, and our salmon really depend on the eelgrass. When they're juvenile salmon, actually coming down the river first, they're quite vulnerable as they get to the ocean because they need to adjust to the salt water and different currents and tides and predators. So they hide in eelgrass and rest there. And there are 25 times more salmon in the Flora Bank eelgrass than anywhere else in the estuary, and 80 times more sockeye salmon in this eelgrass. So it would decimate our fish supplies. Well, I helped come up with the idea. I think a lot of people on the coast had talked about occupying the island, but nobody had done it yet. And last August, 6 of us phoned up the hereditary chief, the Samoyed Yahan, Don Wesley Sr., and we asked his permission to occupy the island for traditional purposes, to practice our Aboriginal rights and title. And we asked him to come with us and start living on the island and stopping the project, stopping all the further testing for the project that was planned.
We operate in this area in Tsimshian territory, in Gwilyut's territory, and you know, my paycheck comes from, you know, the fact that this place is in good shape, that there are salmon here, there are bears here, so it's, I don't know, it's a no-brainer. I have to help. You know, these people, the Gwilyuts, are defending their land and in the process defending my livelihood. So yeah, don't feel like I have a choice. Fight's my fight as well. They talk a lot about jobs and how many jobs there are going to be here, and you know, by their own figures, there's, you know, hundreds of jobs, you know, and those jobs will last, you know, 20 years or 40 years. That's fantastic, but you know, this coast has sustained us. The salmon on this coast have sustained people here for over 10,000 years, and you know, the Skeena River supports thousands of families with fishing and ecotourism and guiding and all of the industries that support those industries as well. So you know, there's an economy here, and it gets its strength from the Skeena River and a healthy Skeena River and a healthy Flora Banks and a healthy salmon run. And we're not interested here in industries that put all of our livelihoods at risk.
My job is to protect Flora Banks and Lelu Island. That's my job. We are protecting it from people coming and wanting to come and destroy it, and destroy the habitat and the estuary. We just, I don't want to see them clear cut it. Of course, I'm a fisherman, and I have to protect my way of life and everybody else's way of life. It's not a First Nation issue. I've been telling people that steady. It's not just a First Nations issue. It's everybody. It's people. It's anybody and everybody that comes to use the resource and loves to eat fish and halibut and crab and whatever else is in the ocean. And it's about the clean air, the water, the land, to be respectful of it. And I think we're doing all that. We're doing the best we can to be respectful and to make sure that the proponent is going to be respectful and not destroy it. For me and everybody else, it's giving up a lot. I mean, I wasn't sure if I was going to make it out fishing this year, but I did, thank goodness. I run a trucking business too, and that has suffered greatly because I have never not paid attention to my business before, but in the last year I did. So I do have to get back to business like everybody else. I have to live, pay bills and whatever, but this is important too. So, but we have a handle on things now. We have really important people, key people giving a hand. As you can see, Christy here is a key person. Without her, we couldn't do this. She is right now the backbone of all this. If she wasn't there, I couldn't go fishing. I'd be stuck there.
And take a week off.
Yeah, I got to breathe a little bit here. Yeah. It's been a tough year for everybody. Mm-hmm. I mean, down there, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how you're doing it. I really don't. And I truly 100% appreciate everything you're doing. Yeah, because I don't think that island would stand too much longer if you weren't there. You are.
You guys are camped over there, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hell of a
Awesome.
thank you.
That is
Thank
cool.
you. Yeah.
Well, I caught it.
This is something we have to win. We have to make sure that it's untouched, and if they destroy it, there's no point in me owning a boat anymore. Just a matter of time and the fishing will be done. And like my chief said, you take away the fish, you take away the people. And I think that's a true saying. And I stand by him.
On Mother's Day last year, I raised my very first totem pole on my mom's grave in Port Simpson. And at my feast, there was no pop, no juice, no bread, and it was all seafood. The whole village, they carried the totem pole down to the dock. They loaded the boats with people. We went over to the island where my mom was buried, and we raised the pole. And it's the first pole in over 100 years for a memorial pole over there. So that's part of bringing the culture back. My mentor, my carving mentor, his grandfather in 1914, when he was 17 years old, his grandfather was paid $20 to chop down and burn the last totem pole in the village. So my art company is called Art from Ashes, because it's like the phoenix rising from the ashes. Like the art is coming back from the ashes. Because I was raised in a Christian home with no native art, no knowledge of carving, nothing. We had pictures of like Jesus and angels, and it had nothing to do with native art. So for me to find this later on in life, I can't even explain it. It's just, once I pick up the pencil, I can't put it down. I can't get away from it. So for me, like protecting Lelu, I bring my daughter out here, and she's 13, and she helps take care of the house in here. She goes out and she does work. Like everybody's always doing something. If I'm not here right now working on this drum, I'm doing something like cleaning, the woodshed, or working on the trail to the other cabins and stuff. I just want to be here to support everybody that's here, because I love seafood just as much as anybody else. And I think that all the fishermen out there, they should be here too. Barely any fishermen come here. I mean, Not barely. Some have, but you would think more would, because this is such a fishing town. I come out here to support them as much as I can through my art. Like, I'm a carver. This is what I do. We've been here for thousands of years. Our people in this area, you know, they've had archaeological digs where there's evidence that we've been here for like 20,000 years, if not more. Like, and if you look at the way we used to live, our people used to live in these long houses. They had these bentwood boxes. They would cook with bentwood boxes. They would, you know, bury people in bentwood boxes. They would store food in the bentwood boxes. It was all cedar. The woman would weave cedar, and you know, like, we wore cedar, and we were people of the cedar. And the animals, when they fish, eat the fish, they leave the carcasses in the woods, and it fertilizes the cedar trees. That's why we have such beautiful cedar trees. And it's all, like, salmon's a huge part of it. And then our main diet is salmon.
Hey, I gotta go. Nice meeting you guys.
Well, I was at the meeting when they took a vote for the no vote for $1.15 billion, I think it was. I'm not sure of the exact amount, but it was over $1 billion. 1.12 or 1.15, somewhere around there, and unanimous. The vote was unanimous, no. So now again, apparently I've heard this year that they've done a poll and just seeing if people would like the band council to move forward. I mean, I don't know how many times we have to say no. I do know that they're offering people X amount of dollars. I don't want to say the figure, but it's up there. And to me, that's buying people. That's buying votes. You know, no is no. 100% no meant 100% no. And now, yeah, people need money, so I guess some people are going to start turning now. You know, it's, if someone came to me and said, would you like $1 million? Yeah, I'll take that. At what cost? You know, do I have to destroy something in order to get that $1 million? So that's what's happening here. We're looking to sell our souls to the devil. I refuse to. And I'll say sell my soul to the devil. That's what it is selling your soul to the devil. We have too much to lose, way too much. You know, we've had ancestors and grandparents and uncles and aunts living off this stuff for years and years and years, and who are we to give it up? It's not ours to give up. What about the future? What about the future generations? What are they going to have, right?